One of my captions on Instagram, this is a long time ago. I was at Rolling Loud Music Festival here in Miami, and I'm walking past, I'm in the VIP section, because I'm a baller. And I'm walking past, I see Diddy. He's in this section, he got his kids with him. And me and Diddy lock eyes, pause, yo, whoa. And I remember it was Diddy, so I was like, oh shit, Diddy. Right? And I was kind of like this. And Diddy did one back and he smiled. He was like, yo, like kind of like a yo, what's up thing. And to me, that moment was cool as fuck. I went home, posted a picture or a video on my Instagram, and my caption was, Diddy gave me the head nod this weekend. He must have seen my TikToks. But now all this is coming out, I know why he was giving me that head nod.
Yeah, you about to get initiated.
That's that same head nod you give to a girl when you see her in the club. You're like, this was one of those.
Yeah.
And now I know that.
You was about to become bottom bitch number 12.
He wanted to pull my hair. That's what I realized.
Said I never had a Filipino before. Now that was going to be you.
That didn't age well, bro. I saw that. I was like,
Right.
Yo,
hey, you already got the tattoo number 13. That would have been
the bullet, bro.
You'd have been in the rotation. That's not where you want to be at. Right? It's not where you want to be at, because P. Diddy is into some wild stuff right now. You know what's crazy? There was accusations that have been coming out for like 20 years. People just swept it under the rug because it's Diddy, I guess. And then now it's
because here's the thing: you're rich, you're a billionaire. Diddy's a billionaire, right?
No, I don't think he had gotten it, but
close.
Super 100 million. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You're gonna get a bunch of that shit as that person, anyways.
Right.
You know, but because even when the Cassie thing came out, I was kind of like, I don't know. You know, like let's see how it plays out. Because it's one thing for like someone to accuse you. Like I always say, like if one person accuses you, let's see how it plays out. I don't like to jump to conclusions, right? Because there's people that are like falsely in prison for rape, like it happens, or I have to censor that.
And allegations are just allegations until there's proof.
I was like, I didn't know what to do. But then the second like more people start coming forward, you have to like, you can't take it with a grain of salt. You're like, no, this motherfucker did it.
Right.
Everything they say he did that. He did that.
Right.
And it's, bro.
And what's wild is when you look at, like now, social media has been putting together all kinds of compilations of clips from over years upon years. And it's one of those things that it's like hidden in plain sight. So it's one of those things where I guess because of the mystique and the stature, everybody just ignored it.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to a point now, it's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. This guy is a little...
Hey man, no Diddy.
You know, it's wild. It's wild. And now, if I'm not mistaken, he's on the run.
No, he's not. So he's not on the run. That's the craziest part. It's because, so literally, I was on Instagram. There was a Diddy sighting.
Yeah, in Miami. Miami
Airport. There was a Diddy sighting, but it was literally right here, right down the street, like maybe 2 minutes away.
Huh.
Like right here in the design district.
Could it have been at that Taco Bell that I saw cocaine for the first time? Maybe.
No, so it was in design district at Pura Vida. Again, I don't know. Maybe it was an old video and someone like, let me capitalize on this right now.
That's a possibility. It could happen. But, that could be it.
It was a Diddy sighting near this area. You know, you could feel the energy in the air too, because like it got real quiet. You know, the air got real quiet.
When was the last time you saw P. Diddy? Were you looking outside of the penthouse and you spotted him?
No, I wasn't.
Could you be an individual who can have information for where he could be located?
What if I led to P. Diddy's arrest?
Oh, boy.
Yo, I don't want to fuck around with that because Diddy got some killers.
He does. You know, like, if I'm not mistaken, he blew up Kid Cudi's car.
Yeah, see, like, what?
Yeah, apparently.
He was talking to Cassie, blew up his car.
Right.
Listen. Someone talks to my wife, they might end up the same way.
No Diddy. My. No, you connected
Diddy.
with the Genovese family. I mean, it's ridiculous. I never knew it, man. I wouldn't be surprised somebody with that much money that got that kind of power, but who would have thought that from Bad Boy years ago to now here?
It's wild because like I don't like Diddy anymore, obviously.
Right.
But like before, I saw this. There's an old video of Diddy. I posted it on my story also. You know.
Oh, it's I can get whatever I want.
I can get whatever I want.
It's like the Wolf of Wall Street.
I'm like, oh, you a savage, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was on the phone call, and I guess he closed the deal. So he slams the phone down. He starts throwing shit. He's like, I'm a savage.
Right.
I love that, because that's how I feel when I close deals also.
Right.
But now when I see that, I'm like, oh, he wasn't lying. He's gonna get whatever he wants. Maybe by force, but he's gonna get whatever he wants.
Isn't that interesting that they always say like never meet your heroes or situations like that? Because everybody can be a twisted, sick motherfucker. Everybody can be that. When we talked about like that type of gene, or I shouldn't say a gene, but that kind of personality trait that the greats all have.
Right.
But there are just some individuals where it's just weird, like a Vince McMahon, P. Diddy. They all got a whole lot of skeletons in their closet.
Not a healthy way to do it, but like Michael Jordan loves to win, obsessed with winning. Gets a gambling addiction. That's okay.
Right.
It's fine. Bruno Mars, same way. Get a gambling addiction. So Diddy, listen, here was my advice to you. Maybe it's too late, but just get a gambling addiction. Don't fucking
it's too late
traffic
now.
people.
It's too late because he's kind of gambling with people's lives, I guess. Is that it? I guess that's kind of what it is. Because what he's doing with Young Miami.
Me and my wife talked about this. It's like, what makes a man like that? Like you're Diddy. You got it all. You got a bunch of money, right?
Greed.
You got Cassie, you got all this. Like you got everything's right for you. You got kids, you got a family, you have everything. Why you want to fuck Meek Mill?
I guess it's maybe I can't make sense of it personally. I can't make sense of it.
Why you want to fuck Meek Mill?
But maybe it's one of the power trips of I can because I am who I am.
Yeah,
kind of situation. So it's like, hey, let me see how much I can get somebody to do something just based off of who I am and what I've accomplished.
You couldn't do nothing else. Like you couldn't I don't know. For me personally, like you couldn't get like 20 women. You couldn't get like fucking, I don't know, J-Lo to come like suck your toes or something. You had to fuck Meek Mill.
I think he's already done that. Wasn't he with J-Lo like 25 years ago? Yeah, I guess old news. Maybe he doesn't circle the block or have a victory lap.
I mean, he does Diddy does spin the block, but I don't know if you... Yeah, so it's crazy, bro. Like that's wild that he has that personality type that you just become like a sicko like that. Cause that's like GOAT level sicko. Like there's some like sickos out there.
Right.
But Diddy might be like top in the list of like. Could you think of anyone else that's like a sicko? Cause like Bill Cosby, he's a sicko, but it's like that's like more like weirdo, not really like Diddy. You know, like,
I know a Vince McMahon would fall into that same.
I still think Diddy's worse.
No. I think Diddy is worse only because you have potential murder situation that's also involved. Not to try to make it seem as if
Tupac and Biggie, isn't he like?
Right. Because people actively believe that he played a role in Tupac and Biggie's ultimate demise and everything of that nature. And then you have the Kid Cudi's car exploding and things of that nature.
This man is like Suge Knight 2.0,
threatening,
bro.
Armed. Like it's in a situation where the further and that you dig, you kind of like, oh wait a minute,
because he was doing everything. So apparently he's like rape.
Yep.
I can't say that on the internet.
Grape, I guess.
Grape, yeah. Essay, that's the one. Trafficking.
Yep.
Drugs. Attempted murder.
Yep.
Murder.
Yep.
Sodomy. It's not a crime anymore.
Well, it depends on the context of it all, I guess. Because if you just hold somebody against their will, take this broom and stick it up your rectal sphincter. Extortion, perhaps.
So, like, bro,
tax evasion will be on the way because he owes quite amount of millions of dollars for his mansions and complexes.
All of these things.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like, that motherfucker going crazy.
And in his case, I think hypothetically, if I was P. Diddy, the first thing that I want to make sure that I get taken care of would be the tax situation. Because you can deal with a ton of different things. You don't fuck with the IRS. They will take you in and you'll go to prison for that.
Everything's fine until you fuck with their money. Listen, I feel
that would be priority number one. He can be hiding out in Sweden. Koshitske. He could be in Uzbekistan. He could be in Jordan. He could be anywhere in the world. You better get that money to the IRS, because I promise you'll be in prison expeditiously.
How do you think this plays out?
Those are the only dudes he can't fuck.
The IRS the only dudes that Diddy can't fuck.
They'll fuck him.
How do you think this plays out?
How do I think it plays out? Oh, he's going to prison.
He's going to prison?
Yeah, he's going to prison. There's no way. I mean, he can go on the run, but the only issue would be he's very recognizable. That's one. And then two, given the lifestyle that he lives, to just flip the switch and then go on the low and kind of live incognito,
Well,
it's
the
incredibly
way I think
difficult for
about it,
somebody
though,
to go back to something
He
like that.
technically wouldn't have to do that if he goes to a country that like has no extradition.
Yes.
So if he goes to like, because they're saying he went to Antigua because they have no
Isn't that
extradition.
what Russell Simmons is doing right
I mean,
now?
I
He's
don't know.
somewhere. Yeah, I think they said something of the nature of where he's somewhere where they don't have that.
Yeah, so if there's no extradition treaty, it's kind of like, yo, like he didn't break our laws. He's over here.
What is that?
stimulating
What is
our economy.
extradition?
Extradition is like when an extradition treaty is like, hey, there's one of our criminals is in your country, send them over, arrest them and send them over because that's one of ours. So United States, we got everybody on lock. You know, we got everybody on safety. We let them know, hey, like if he goes to anywhere in Western Europe, we need that motherfucker. They're bringing him over to the U.S. Now, there's certain places that don't have it. Like Russia doesn't have one. You know, I don't know if like Brazil would have one. Antigua, where they said he escaped to, doesn't have one. So it's like, if he goes somewhere like that, he could still be Diddy. He's just Diddying somewhere else.
But it's not the same kind of Diddy. I don't know if it has the same pull.
different.
I wouldn't know. Would P. Diddy still be P. Diddy? Would he be Puff Daddy over there? Or is he just Sean Combs?
Yeah, and then also if they could technically freeze his assets,
Yeah.
not that it would matter to him, but man.
Well, it depends on what you have access to, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if everything, because I'd highly doubt that he's not in a situation where he doesn't have cash. Because I think if he was to, let's say if he had $5 million in cash, he can stretch that for, depending on where he's at,
but
he
you're
can
not
stretch
Diddy
that
anymore
for
at that point.
But you're not. That's where I think ultimately his demise will come in time, because how long can you live a lifestyle that is completely the antithesis of what you've been living for the past 25 years?
True.
Well,
yeah, because he's been
actually 30 years. Now that I think about it.
How do you think his kids play into all this? Because I think about this is a sick, twisted individual. What the fuck is up with his kids?
But it's got to be brutal. It's got to be brutal because, for one, I'm assuming from when they were growing up, you're kind of privy to certain things that may be a little questionable. You may have seen things as well throughout your upbringing and into your adolescence, into your young adulthood. But then now, with the severity of the allegations that's coming out, and in the papers, you can read and see how extensive it is. It's got to be one of those things where you look at your dad like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Especially when you get apprehended at the house while he's, AWOL. That's got to be brutal. I don't know what kind of trauma that feels like, but it can't be good.
So he's just gone? Like no one knows where he's at?
He lives right here. I mean, we could literally see his house from my balcony. So theoretically, we can go and
You saw his neighbor.
check to see if he's there. What?
You saw what his neighbor said?
No, what his neighbor said?
All the media was there, and he was like, yeah, I'm his neighbor. Yo, fucking weird shit. That guy's got weird shit going on. Like at 3 a.m. in the morning, you'll see a bus pull up, and like the weirdest people and like the weirdest things come out of that bus. That guy's fucking weird.
Right.
I'm his neighbor, dude. I would know.
Right? Right. And the funny thing about it is everything people say about the Hollywood elites.
Yeah.
It checks out
right.
with him. So like, even if you don't believe in the Illuminati, all that other stuff, whatever they had said over years of the things you have to do, the rituals you have to perform in order to make it into the Hollywood A-list or whatever, somehow you take a look at the allegations, P. Diddy's checked every box.
Yikes.
Damn near everything Cat Williams was
man.
talking about.
You don't agree, Renee?
No. I think that's crazy. I agree. I think it's crazy.
The coincidence is incredible.
Well, I mean, shit, man. Like anything that involves a lot of money and a lot of like fame, a lot of glory, there's a lot of like fucked up shit that goes on there. Like here's something crazy. I was talking about it this morning on my story. California.
Yeah.
They raised the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour.
It's exclusively for fast food workers.
For fast food workers to $20 an hour.
What's the original minimum wage?
I don't know. I mean, when I was in California, when I was working in California, this is a decade ago, minimum wage was like $7.50, $8 an hour.
Okay, yeah. So
So they're making
the same in New York.
$20 an hour to work at McDonald's or Taco Bell. The Taco Bell you went to, if you were in
Right.
California, it's $20 an hour.
Yep.
There's a whole fucking laundry list of economics. I want to get your thoughts there before I dive into the economics of this. But like, what are your guys' thoughts on that? Because that is pretty insane.
Smooth transition from P. Diddy. Now, I will say this much. My take on it is this, right? And from when I was in high school, and I didn't work in high school, I worked in college. I always had a problem with whenever people said raise the minimum wage, because the thought process behind it is you think they're just going to raise the minimum wage, which is the lowest barrier of entry, and nothing else gets raised. There's no way that we're going to give you what you want. When has this ever happened?
Yeah.
It's never happened. So the living expense is either going to increase, or the businesses, especially, and I'm glad that you specified it with fast food workers, because you think they're just going to pay these people and they're not going to get the money back on the back end?
Oh, no.
They're going to raise the prices of the food, or, well, maybe not so much, the tax is completely different, but they're going to raise the prices on the food and they're going to get that money back somehow.
Yep.
They're going to get that money back somehow. And I think it's going to be the consumer who gets fucked.
Yep. Well, so here's kind of like, Dave, what are your thoughts since you got the mic out? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I agree. I think I think it's something that passed in order to get a certain vote.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so it's like, oh, look, they're looking out for me, $20. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
everything goes up. I think if they're just buying a vote, they're definitely targeting someone.
So that's the craziest part. What's crazy about like a lot of this stuff, politics is dirty, and the segue from this to Diddy, it's actually not that far-fetched, because the reason I thought about it is because politics is a dirty fucking game. And the same with A-list Hollywood, like, it's a dirty game. If I want to get votes, I'm just like, yo, you're not making that much money? Tell you what, I'm going to raise it for you. And these people that are working at McDonald's, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but they're not super intelligent. They're not economy majors. They don't have a master's degree in finance.
It depends on the intention behind why you're working at McDonald's. Because of course, if you're just looking for a job and income, then by all means. But if you go there like, hey, I'm gonna be here and I have no dreams or aspirations to leave here. It's one thing if you want to go there and you want to climb up the ladder. Okay, I become a manager, then maybe I could work my way towards going corporate, stuff of that nature, because you already are inside the brand. Then by all means. But more often than not, that's not the case.
But even then, those people that are going to work there to work their way up, they don't understand the economics behind it. So the only thing they hear is, hey, I'm going to make $20 an hour, regardless of whether their intention is to move up through McDonald's. They hear $20 an hour to work at McDonald's. Again, no hate to McDonald's fast food workers, but when they hear that, they're like, this is a great leadership.
Right, because there was a lot of people who were celebrating.
This is a great leadership. They're going to do this. Here's what happens, though, in the background of things, right? And this is where it gets really, really fucked up. As the business owner, McDonald's, you're going to sit there and you're not going to be like, I'm going to take this L.
Nope.
They said it. They said literally clearly, you can look it up. By the way, when I heard this was passed, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. That's
What's the irony of this happening on April Fool's Day? Like, come on.
So McDonald's clearly says, hey, we're just gonna pass it on to our customers.
Yep.
That was their response, right? So every Chipotle said, we're just gonna pass it on to our customers. I don't know what you're expecting here. So they're celebrating, yeah, we're making so much more money. Not really, because now every fast food joint just gets passed on to the customers. So this is where it gets really tricky, because people are going to be like, well, since they're making more money, isn't it the same thing now, since like they make more money? Yes and no. It might be the same for the people that work at fast food because they make more money, but what about everyone else? What about these people that got college degrees and they make $26 an hour because they got their college degree?
And that's exactly what's going to be interesting, because if you now make it specifically, McDonald's workers are making 20 and fast food workers are making 20, but the minimum wage elsewhere will remain where it's at. What do you think the other businesses are going to do? They're going to find a way to where they can make that money back on the bottom line. And then they're going to say, hey, we too are increasing our minimum wage. And then everybody's going to feel it, because although the workers at McDonald's right now, they'll be in a situation where if you don't spend at McDonald's, you'll be able to save, a bit more. Now, granted, with the tax situation, the higher you go up, you end up getting taxed more. So it's like a mind fuck of what happens. So you end up leaving with the same or maybe even less in the grand scheme of things. But overall, it's only a matter of time before everywhere else will say, hey, we're going to raise our wages, and the living expense increases at the same pace in which you're raising the wages, or it moves rapidly faster like it has been the past 20, 30 some years, to where you're in a situation where it's like, all right, you make good money, but if you live in a place that's incredibly expensive, you're not really getting a chance to enjoy it. Like $100K in California is like 60 elsewhere. You go that $100K in Alabama, ooh, That's 100K. 100K in LA?
It's nothing.
It's damn near 60-40.
And then the issue with that too is so what's happening is you're going to squeeze everyone else.
Right.
Because here's the thing. Rich people don't give a fuck. I said this also. Rich people don't care. I don't give a fuck if McDonald's burgers go from 5 to 20. It's inconsequential for me. I could look at any amount of money. McDonald's burgers could be $100. Doesn't affect me. I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. Nothing's gonna happen to me here. I'm gonna be like, cool, I want a McDonald's burger, let me order it.
Right.
Right? It doesn't affect me. But the people that are in the middle class, you're squeezing that middle class because you're like, yo, now these people with no skills are making almost as much as you. You went and you got a degree, and now everything around you is going up. The price of everything is going up. You're making the same amount of money. Everyone else underneath you is going up. It's almost like if you have a little bit of a head start. Let's say you were running a mile, and you're at the halfway point. You're at half mile, right? And they say, cool. Now you're gonna start right next to them, and you're racing. It's gonna fucking kill you. It's gonna demoralize you. It's gonna kill you. So then, yeah, all the prices are gonna go up. Cost of living is gonna go up. You see it like this has been happening for the longest time, right?
Right.
Fucking 50 years ago, houses were like 100 grand. And everyone's like, save your money, buy a house. Now no one can buy a house because they're all like $600,000.
Yeah, we're becoming a renting culture. And you know what also plays into that is when you see the boom of hookup culture and everything of that nature, they're keeping people, separated homes to where everybody is by themselves. Because in the past, although the living expense would be so much, if you have a dual income sort of situation, prior to the dual income, when it was primarily, the situation where the woman would stay home, the man would go out and work and provide, bring in enough wages to cover everything. That worked. Once they introduce, all right, we're going to be able to tax two parties, so we'll have this push women go out there, work and everything. Then you see now with the change of how in culture, we kind of have more homes that's separate than actually together. So with all of this happening, with you almost lowering the bar, but making it appear as if you're raising it, then the living expenses on the back end increasing. The increase in hookup culture, which is now at its apex, which will continue to go and grow, where people are completely apart, can't afford to go and have a house. Most people can't afford to go and get an asset on their own without extra individuals investing in them. In about 25 some years, as we always talk about, the rich people or the people who happen to have the skills will be able to survive, despite the fact of everybody saying, man, get them the hell out of here, because they know their ways to, work their way around it. So but it's going to end up being in a situation where you just end up falling lower and lower and lower and lower and lower down in class.
Something like this increases the divide as well, because what's happening is rich people, right? When you do this, you're devaluing money. If you're giving more money away, you're devaluing it, right? And it happens with anything. You could be like, no, you're not. You're not devaluing it. You give anything away, you're devaluing it. So you're devaluing money, right? Rich people don't care, because here's the thing, right? You have the lower class, the middle class, and the rich people. Rich people own all the assets. The only people that own houses, cars, apartment buildings, cryptocurrency, stocks, companies, businesses, all rich people.
Yeah,
the middle class and the lower class, they don't have anything. All they have is their savings account. That's right. Their 401k, your savings account.
Savings account, maybe the one house that you have.
My 401k has $400,000 in it. Yeah, that's great until they fucking print all this money and they give away all this money and they raise the minimum wage, that the money's not worth anything anymore. Right. So now you have all these rich people that own assets. Like if I own a house, it's going up in value proportionate to inflation, whereas everyone else has liquid cash that's now worthless. So now you have $400,000, but it doesn't buy you shit.
Yeah.
And that's how you steal wealth from the lower and middle classes. You give them something like a treat, like, hey, we're going to raise the minimum wage, when in reality, they're just devaluing your money. Right. They're giving you more money, but the money's worthless. So, hey, here's more money, take this money. It's fucking paper. It's monopoly money.
Right, and then what makes it worse is also, whenever we talk about mindset as well, because it seems as if when you have the 9-to-5ers, whatever the case may be, you're working a regular job, the purpose of the wages that you acquire, I think people are using it wrong, because you should use those wages to go and acquire assets so you can start to build a nest egg. The issue is you have the bulk share of people. The only reason why you go to work is to pay bills, and then have yourself maybe, if you're lucky, an annual vacation.
Well, the goal is, right, let's say you're a rich person, you want to make sure that no one else encroaches on your market share. all you got to do is make sure that the cost of living
Right.
is high enough so everyone lives check to check.
Exactly.
You don't want people saving money.
Exactly.
You want them living check to check. And if they're not living check to check, you want to introduce another product. Hey, you're not living check to check, but check this out. You could live in this place with a pool now in a nicer area, and you live to check. Because there's no reason for people, like, if you think about it, right? People in California, how much they make, they're still living check to check.
Right.
You need
Right.
10 grand a month to live check to check.
Right.
Miami's another example. I think about Miami a lot because I'm thinking about this stuff, right? I'm like, how the fuck do people survive paying 5-6 grand a month? Because if you had a 9-to-5 job, that's almost your entire income.
It is.
So people are making 6 figures and they have to get roommates
Yep.
to survive.
Yep.
Because of the cost of living. Because if I'm owning these buildings, I'm making my rents right there. Hey, you got to make 6 figures to live here.
Right. And you know what's interesting is, and in my building, I started seeing this where it'd be a lot of people who are living together. Like you get yourself like a 3-bedroom or something of that nature. You're paying like $5,500, $6,000 per month. But if you bring in 3 people, all right, we're all paying $2 grand a month or whatever. That sounds great. But ultimately, what are you doing with the money? Oh, no, we're going to the Maldives. We're going over here.
Yeah.
You're playing yourself in the long term because you should have utilized that money, go acquire assets to where now the money that's coming in monthly can now take care of said rents, and then all of the other income that's coming in, you can continue to either stack that and put it elsewhere to go acquire another asset so it can keep making money passively.
Right.
Because it's one of those situations where people don't recognize like the illusion that they're caught up in, because the next generation that comes after you, your offsprings, your children, they're going to now come into a situation where they're not in a better spot than you were when you first started.
Yeah.
It may be a happier home. Maybe there might not be as much trauma, but at the same time, you think the wages aren't going to be exponentially higher than it was when you first came up? Like right now, we're looking at average rent in probably in Miami is what? Maybe about like
$4,500, $3,900, something like that.
It's something ridiculous, like collectively throughout everywhere.
Yeah.
But ultimately, most people can't afford to live on their own for the most part. That's why a lot of people are staying with their parents as long as they possibly can.
Yeah.
Fast forward 20, 25 years. You think it's going to be lower? Fuck no.
No, it's going higher.
It's going to be even higher.
We talk about it all the time. They're going to build more towers. It's going to be newer. Because what happens, you just push the money more that way.
Yeah.
Right? You push the money like more, you push the poor people more that way. And then rich people start living here. There's always going to be enough rich people. You just push poor people out further and further and further. And then you have suburbs, right, where people go and live because it's cheaper. What's crazy about a lot of this stuff, oftentimes what you're going to see is people are being fed a benefit to them. Like, people are being fed their poison as a benefit to them. We're going to raise the minimum wage for you. Everyone's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Thank you so much, right? The normal fucking wage working person is going to say, oh, you are amazing. Thank you so much. Reality, it's your demise. Because all you're doing is, that's a great way of stealing money. You're just siphoning money from them because now their money's worth less. You own all the assets, so your assets go up in value. Right? So the less money, the more money cash they have that they're getting undeservedly, the more your assets go up.
And you should ask yourself too, why would you be so excited that they're raising? Because unless you're somebody who's like a teenager, is your very first job, something like that, then I could understand excitement. You can't be 38 years old. Oh man, they're raising the minimum wage. This is amazing for me. You should not be aspiring to work minimum wage. You should try to acquire a skill to where you can now make much more wages. Like even those people who happen to go out there, you grind for 4 years, you get yourself a college degree. Maybe you go get your master's. You go get your doctorate. You come out, let's say if you're doing residency somewhere, something of that nature, and you're not being paid what either you're worth or what was initially promised to you when you first went after, degree. They should be up in arms whenever you see, okay, these wages are now being increased, but I have a master's degree and I'm got $26 an hour. This is ridiculous. This person's not even that far. So naturally, I think it's just one of those situations where, as you stated, it's to build that divide and the dissension amongst the middle class here, because I think the upper class will constantly be completely separated to where they just look at it like, hey, this doesn't affect me one way or another because I have the skills and I have the resources to where I can work my way around this and it doesn't touch me, or I find a way to make it benefit for me. But then the middle class continues to become more divided and lower and lower and lower. Like it's I'll tell you the truth, the middle class is damn near eliminated at this particular point. It's upper class and lower class.
Yeah,
really.
It's slowly
it's an
eliminating
illusion
the middle class.
of, because I hate the term six figures. I said time and time again, six figures really is just, I make a little bit over 100,000. Because if you make $250,000, you say I make 250 grand, or I make $250,000, and that's it. Because six figures is between 100,000 and 999. So with that being the case, the middle class doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. So your best bet, if you're out there, because we have some young people who happen to listen to us as well. We have some not necessarily older, but then kind of entering your 30s kind of situation. So you're reaching your prime. Do not get excited about minimum wage being increased or whatever the case may be, especially if you ain't got no plan. You shouldn't want to sit around and say, hey, you know, they're paying us $20 an hour. Let me go work at this McDonald's and then do absolute fuck all. That's foolish.
But where it gets crazier too now, right? Let's say you're working, for me when I was washing cars, I was making 11 or 12 bucks an hour. When I look at this and I see this, I'm like, I could work there and make almost double.
Right.
To work at McDonald's, you've almost created like a good job that's not really a good job because you're not providing that much value.
Right.
So you've created like a demand for a job that doesn't really have a good job. Like, great example, doctors, they should get paid a lot because people should aspire to be doctors.
Right.
Or lawyers or engineers. Engineers is a great one because you innovate, you create things. When you incentivize people to go to these jobs, they want to become these jobs so they can get paid. So then we can, as a society, get better, right? Like scientists, doctors, engineers, we're building spaceships, we're building skyscrapers, architects. Those are all things you need to incentivize. You should not incentivize people to go and flip burgers.
Right.
Because sure, like those people deserve to make money because it's a hard job, but at the same time, you're not adding value to society in that way.
And you know, now that you're mentioning jobs that bring value, there's a job that for years I believe has been criminally underpaid. Teachers. It just does not make sense to me how you're molding the minds of the next generation, and you're paid, what is it, between 63, about like 60,000 to maybe at maximum, depending on what level you may be at, 100?
I've seen things.
It's brutal.
Yeah, I've seen things like 40 to like 60.
40 grand.
Depending on where you may be located. It's bad. And I never, because of course, if you hand somebody a curriculum and they just say, hey, follow this, and you're a teacher who does the bare minimum, you don't really do anything that separates yourself, then it's like, all right, you're kind of like the minimum wage or the McDonald's of teaching. But the teachers who go above and beyond, who work after hours, who actually connect with the students,
buy their own supplies, by the way.
They literally are in a situation to where the kids look up to those teachers and say, I wouldn't have made it anywhere in life had it not been for these people, and they're criminally underpaid. That always bothered me.
Yeah, I don't like that teachers are not paid a lot. I always had a solution for this. I'm not sure why they haven't done this. I think they definitely think they should do this. They should have incentives for teachers.
Yep. 100%.
So they should incentivize
100%.
teachers. Hey, if your
100%.
kids get these test scores, right? Like, and have the testing be unrelated. There obviously has to be some sort of way so that they don't cheat. Right. Because they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get paid an extra this much if I do it. Cheat. Yeah. If there's a way that say, hey, we're giving them a test at the end of the year, standardized tests on mathematics, English, et cetera, et cetera. You don't get to see the tests, but here's the curriculum. Go ahead and teach them. And let's say their kids, it should be a tiered type thing where it's like, hey, if their kids do exceedingly well, top 9% of the nation, 10% of the nation, they should give them like a $30,000 bonus or something.
I agree.
Because now you do that, you incentivize them to be like, to spend their own money getting supplies, to get children involved in wanting to learn. Because they're like, yo, if I do a great fucking job as a teacher, I'm getting a bag at the end of the year. Right. That's a great, I
remember when I was in high school, my geometry teacher, Miss Glasman, she was a German. I'll never forget. She was one of the smartest teachers I ever had the ability of being a student for. And I remember I told her, and I said, I think school, there should be a meritocracy situation. It should be
said this when you were how old? How old were you?
I think I was 15. I think I was 15. And with her in particular, because math was always my thing. And I recall telling her, I'm like, man, I think school, not only for the students should it be a meritocracy, because it kind of already is with the honor roll and everything. Teachers, that should be the case, because there's some teachers who teach like AP and all these other stuff, or the more Excelsior sort of classes, but they don't necessarily get viewed as a higher ranking as other teachers. Right. I think they should 100% do things like that, to where it's anonymous, where the teachers can't just pass children.
Yep.
They should have it to where, all right, this kid is assigned to this particular professor. This kid is assigned to this particular professor in this subject group. You then have the test go across the board. You send it to unrelated, like teachers are grading other teachers' work, not even from the same district, maybe not even the same state, whatever the case is. The highest performing teachers, I wouldn't even say like a $30,000. I think you double whatever they were set to be paid. You double that shit. And because if you're a teacher who's not worth your grain of salt, I don't think you should immediately be fired, but I think there needs to be a situation where if 3 years were to pass and your children are performing at the bottom, you lose your job. Like you don't get an opportunity to bounce back. I think it should be almost like sports, where if you're not good enough at the highest level, get them out of here. And with teaching, as you ascend, because I think if you start with like preschool, there's different levels of teaching, because I don't want to be over here like, hey, if you're a PhD professor versus a preschool teacher, well, you know, it's much difficult with the adults than with children. But I think per age group, subject matter, there should be a meritocracy sort of situation, a hierarchy, competition amongst the teachers that incentivizes them to perform, because there's a shit ton of teachers now who are literally just passing children because, well, we got to get them to the next grade, no child left behind, got to do all this other stuff. So it's ridiculous. That was one of I just had to get that one off my chest, because I always felt as if teachers are criminally underpaid.
Up too, though, is because that's how you attack a society, right? Like, let's say you want someone to fail, you go for the kids. You fuck the kids up. The kids are not learning shit. You're not making they're the future people that so I don't like the fact that the school system doesn't teach anything about finances, how money works, how money circulates. I understand it's a little bit of a complex topic, but I had to learn on my own. I didn't learn shit in school. And that's the only thing I actually use when it comes to making money and becoming a contributing member of society. You know? So the fact that you don't teach these kids any of that shit, it's perfect, because now they come out and they're fucking slaves. Right. I don't know how money works. Oh, someone's gonna raise my minimum wage? Sure. It's like almost set up it's almost set up to like spread that divide. It's fucked up. I don't like it, because it's like one of those things where, again, it doesn't affect me, probably won't in my lifetime, but in the grand scheme of things, this is a fucking road to nowhere. Right. This is driving off a cliff. Like, if it continues at this pace, it's driving off a cliff, because the divide gets big enough. Obviously, there's a few rich people compared to compared to a lot of poor people. And that number gets a little crazy, and then you have revolutions and societies crumble, and that's like a whole nother thing. But like, so when you look at any other country, right, there's a very small group of elite people at the top, and then you have fucking 95% of the population, which is poor, that has to struggle. And any society, doesn't matter, third world countries, there's rich people at the top and people at the bottom that are struggling. So it almost like happens with any country, and it seems like that's what's happening in the United States right now.
Yeah, it's wild. It truly is wild.
Did you see, speaking about the United States, actually, you see the Joe Biden thing?
With what in particular?
Easter?
Oh my God,
bruh.
Brutal.
What are your thoughts on that?
Man,
wait, with what? What happened?
So Joe Biden, he didn't make it Easter this day. So this was a day already. It was a Transgender Visibility Day.
Oh boy.
And it was on Easter, right? And to be very, very clear, he did not make it. People are blaming Joe Biden for making it that day. He didn't make it that day. That's been a day for like 10 years.
Right.
But I think the issue is the outrage came from, he put a lot of energy into that Transgender Visibility Day. Like, he did post on Twitter or something. And he was like, Happy Easter. Then the next one was like Transgender Visibility Day. And he's like, hey, for everyone transgender, you are loved, you are seen under God. Like, he like went hard. So it's almost like one of those things where it's like, whoa, like people got angry about it. Like, so you saw that. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's one of those situations where goes back to what we talked about, like with Islam, with Christianity, how in Christianity it's not as respected as it was before. Yeah. And I can understand why people were so up in arms. And for me, I thought it was quite the coincidence that it just so happens to be on that particular day. And then specifically regarding Joe Biden on Twitter, it was one of those things where it's like, all right, you just put the most emotionless based post. Because for me, social media is, I don't look deep into all the posting or whatever, but I know the populace does. So for you to put no energy into this and then the umpteenth degree energy into that and kind of be in a situation where you're like, what are people upset about? That right there is just one of those things where it's like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So for me, I looked at it from the perspective of, this is something that they are purposely trying to get people up in arms with. Because it's almost as if you want the divide and the dissension to continue.
I think it's really fucked up because by doing that, you almost put a target on the back of transgender people. Oof, right. I want to be very clear. I have no issue with transgender people. I think everybody deserves a day, right? Whether you're black, white, man, woman, straight, gay, transgender, you deserve a day. That being said, to put it over another person's day,
right?
It's almost like saying, like, putting value over one thing. Like, you could have a day, make it another day, not Easter.
Right.
Because when you make it Easter, now what you've done is you put a target on your back. Because now it's like every Christian person on the planet is fucking angry at you.
Right.
And you don't want that because you want transgender people to be accepted in society. So why would you put a giant target on their back and say, hey, fuck you Christians, transgender?
Because you know exactly what you were doing. You knew exactly what you were doing.
That's like saying white lives matter on Martin Luther King Day.
Right, yeah. Or in the midst of it's the same thing. It's like it's you divisive. Strategically, and the thing about it, specifically with the day, you could have easily said, "All right, you know what? Next Sunday, or maybe on April 2nd, because if it was on April 1st, then of course, it's April Fool's Day. What are our feelings?" So with that being the case, you knew better because you can't sit there and make it seem, "Oh, I had no clue." Impossible. So my biggest thing would be, I would have loved to have been able to be and fly on the wall in the conversations leading up to the day and the decision to say we're appointing it for this particular.
Joe Biden, realistically, he does any of this stuff, or you think he just got handlers that just handle all of it?
I've always looked at the president as just there's other individuals who are running it. You're just like the face of the operation.
I feel like Donald Trump, that's
Donald,
he's in that bitch. He's in that bitch like,
because he has that A-type personality to want to be in those rooms.
They be telling him stuff and he just tells them no.
Right, like there's no doubt in my mind when they walked, like he probably was one of the very few presidents who probably wanted to be involved in most of the conversations, even if he has no influence on what's going on, at least to be in a situation where he's not blindsided per se, and somebody just comes, whispers in your ear and say, hey, say this, say that. So because he just seems to have that kind of personality per se.
For me, when I see that, right, it's like they're on his neck. Like he's dealing with a lot of bullshit now.
Right.
Just because of the presidency. They're saying like he raped people. They're trying to Diddy him. Right? None of this shit's sticking. They're trying to Diddy him. I
must say for him, nothing is sticking. He is Velcro. Like he's like freaking John Gotti out there with everything. It's ridiculous.
Nothing is Teflon. He's Teflon.
Yeah, he's Teflon.
Nothing is sticking to him, and he's out here like he's giving himself a bunch of headaches. But like I feel like he just wants to fucking. He has like that it also of like I want to win.
Right.
Like I'm Donald Trump. I want to win.
Right.
So part of it is ego, but like. Man, when you see something like that, it's like this dude's relentless as far as like that stuff. With Joe Biden, I wouldn't be surprised if people just running that shit and they're like, "Yo, let's just figure it out. He's asleep. Let's like." It's like yo. Yeah.
It's because I would have like I said before, I would have loved to have been a fly on a wall for the conversations leading up into that, because there's no way there wasn't somebody who said, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
You don't think this is a bad idea? Like I feel as if it's now in politics. It's just we want to see the world burn and enjoy the hysteria of the people losing their mind. Like it has to be a game at this point.
Well, I think in politics it almost becomes like a let me look out for myself.
Right.
Let me look out for my interests. Because I saw something. It was actually crazy. Sorry, David, to cut you off. But I want to remember it. You know how they're talking about banning TikTok, right?
Yeah.
There was a rep, like they looked at a rep and they're like, yo, hey, what did you vote for? He's like, I voted yes to ban TikTok. And sure enough, they look at his biggest donors. Fucking Meta and Google are his biggest donors.
Yep.
And he voted to ban TikTok. And it's crazy. What's crazy, they didn't even donate that much money. They donated like 50 grand. So because there's so many like everyone has interest everywhere, and you're a politician, you're like get it where you can.
Right.
That's almost like your hustle right there. You're like,
Who's
yo,
your backers?
I can get money from this. So now it becomes this game of like motherfuckers throwing money around for their interests, and everyone's going in every other direction. And what's unfortunate is some pockets are deeper than others.
Right.
So if I'm Pfizer, I get my way no matter what. You're not gonna bully me. I got some bread. If I'm a defense company, if I'm Raytheon, you're not gonna get your way. I got more money than you. The fuck are you gonna do?
And that's ultimately why I always look at politics like, man, people think it's all based off of policy. No, who's got the deepest pockets and who has the influence to be able to tell the politicians, hey, do what we want because we can give you, because where's the integrity?
Make sure you stay in power.
Right. Where's the integrity and the checks and balances for the integrity?
Yeah.
Because if I slide you an envelope, say, hey, that's $50 million right there if you do this, how many people will be willing to say, I don't believe in that?
Yeah.
More often than not, they'll say, no, thank you very much. I'll push this. Perhaps in 25 years, the people will forgive me.
Yep.
And then
If not, I don't give a fuck.
If not, I don't give a fuck. I have some fuck you money
good.
now,
Yep.
and I'll be able to do what I want.
You see it with every politician, bro. They're broke. They go into power. They get some sort of like seat, a position with power, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're worth $100 million. Fucking crazy.
And they're great at stocks.
Right.
Nancy
They're
Pelosi.
great at stock. Everything we put money on, it's winning. How is
Nancy
that?
Pelosi,
Isn't that
Nancy
interesting?
Pelosi don't miss, bro.
Right, and moral. There's just lastly.
I love when they ask her and she's like, huh?
Right, it's ridiculous. And lastly, my thing is, like, how the fuck do people on Congress be on Congress for like 40, 50 years? How does that happen? Like, I don't understand. Like, there got to be some point of like a cutoff period or something.
Yeah.
How the hell are you in politics? You're a seat in these rooms for decades upon decades.
They're literally called career politicians because that's their career.
Right. Incredible.
So they fuck it. Yeah, it's wild that like people are making money like that. So I mean, I wanted to get really rich and just push whatever agenda I have. So
Right.
I'm at the point. So you have to escape. It's called escape velocity. In the same way that a rocket ship goes up, like it's real hard to escape Earth. Right. That's the issue with rocket ships. Why people can't build rocket ships. A human being, it's real hard to escape the gravity of the fucking matrix, of the rat race of society.
Right.
You need to make some money, at least 50, 60 grand a month to escape that fucking the gravity of a 9-to-5 job or a 9-to-5. So your goal is to reach escape velocity as fast as possible, so you don't have to fuck with any of that.
Right.
Because whatever happens in politics, I don't give a fuck who's the president for the next however long. Right? I have enough money to not deal with any of this shit. My kids can go to private school. My kids could be homeschooled. I don't have to worry about where I'm going to live. I'm not going to worry about things getting devalued. I'm always going to be able to afford whatever food I want. Everyone else down there, they're going to be fucking savages. They're going to be shooting and killing each other. They're going to be in poverty. They're going to be out here fucking dying, starving, struggling 9-to-5. Doesn't affect me because I've reached escape velocity. But it's really sad to see. But like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, this is the way I feel about it, right? And maybe you feel the same way. I'm passionate about topics like this because it sucks. I feel for people because I was one of those people. But at the same time, the fuck am I supposed to do? This is all I can do is talk about it.
Right.
I can't really do anything else. I can't become, unless I decide to undertake becoming a politician
Career
and doing all
politician.
that. Yeah. And,
Right.
and for me, it almost makes more sense to just get really rich and then lobby. Right now I'm lobbying politicians, but where do I want to spend my money? I don't know if I'm going to win a fight against. I think a lot of people look at it like, do I want to try and like do a dick measuring contest with Pfizer? Not really.
It ain't worth it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to lose. And then what makes it worse is you'll lose bigger. So in this particular stage, because I myself still working towards the escape.
I feel like
and
no,
everything.
you've reached
But
escape velocity.
to a certain degree, not necessarily, because I still have to play the game to a certain extent. And I since day one, when I had first started, I said, I'll play the game to my advantage only for so long. The moment that you build up the nest egg to where you have the fuck you money, or you have enough assets to where it can supersede if they were to take certain things away, then you can get out. But until you get to that point, you do things too soon, they'll take everything, and then now you have to regroup in a much tougher spot than you would have been if you just played the game a little bit longer. But you have to be able to play the game without sacrificing your integrity.
Yeah.
because there's too many people where they'll say, yeah, you know what, I'll just do that. But then they end up taking too much. And then you're so deep in to where if you try to get out now, now you're exposed.
They own you, yeah.
Right, they own you. So you got to know how to play the game to a certain extent and also be at peace with what happens. Because I could be somebody where if I was to lose it all, I'm not going to be on, at least I had a chance to go and have it. I have the skills and the resources to go and build it back up. Right. Will it take as long? Of course not, because now I know certain ways around it. Mm-hmm. But I look at it from the perspective of, okay, I know if I wanted to be somebody to get to the ultimate top and completely sell out, you can go and do that, but what's the requirement? Your soul.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you have to almost mentally prepare yourself of, hey, play the game, get what you got to do, find your exit, and then exit when it's time.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. Like when Denzel had said, hey, you go to those parties, leave before the devil comes.
You gotta leave like Diddy when the FBI comes raids your house.
Right. Get the fuck out.
No Diddy.
Right. No Diddy. That's going to be the title for this episode. No Diddy. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we appreciate you tuning in to yet another episode of the Assiduous Podcast. I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis. He is the serial entrepreneur, the Filipino Prince, Tycoon, Rene
No
Lacan.
Diddy.
No Diddy. And we are
No Diddy.
Assiduous.
This is the No Diddy podcast. Oh, I need a pee so bad.
You're in.
You're in.
For a good time.
Says P. Diddy.